Buenos dias from beautiful Charlotte Harbor in Punta Gorda, Florida. Just had the Soma video posted up. Quick tryout of new music gear I'm going to be bringing down. But I wanted to give you up to date. So it's currently on the Tuesday. I landed here Thursday night. I want to go over the travel. This was my simplest travel day yet. This is how it ran. Remember, I needed a 2.5-hour flight for the day. I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning in Nicaragua on Thursday to be downstairs by 5 a.m. for my private ride. Private ride should take 2.5 hours, could take 3 hours, you don't know. And then there's still the misunderstanding about how low the local speed limits actually dropped. We did not see any sign changes. It still showed 80 kilometers per hour is what was allowed to be the maximum speed, not the 50 kilometers an hour. So we got to the airport in a little more than 2 hours, so I had plenty of time. Checked in with my airline, got my declaration statement, went directly over to the VIP lounge, and this is all in Managua. I went through private aduana screening with the VIP service. They scanned all my stuff in a private metal detector, personal check done. No issues there. Went upstairs to the lounge, paid my $34.50. The tourist stamp I received in Managua in my last, final, most recent visit to aduana, immigration, Migracion. And didn't have any problems going through this time, so that $10 tax stamp I paid is evidently for the year because I knew I was going to be doing multiple exits. So normally it's $10 entrance, $10 exit, back and forth. You would either do that as a tourist with the 90-day tourist visa, or when leaving the country, you'd have an exit cost. Well, normally the exit cost is included in your price of your ticket, not always. Did not have to pay the extra 10, so I paid $34.50 for the lounge, hung out there for 2 hours. They brought me a small sandwich. They brought a cup of coffee. I had dedicated Wi-Fi, separate air-conditioned room. To my own credit, I did bring a hoodie this time because the last 2 visits through Managua's airport have been frigid, and this trip was no exception. So they are blasting the AC in an airport that is habitually known to be very hot. So they've done something about it with every visit now. I'm sure it's going to be blowing full force when I land in a couple weeks. So airport service, 1 hour before flight, they start pre-boarding. I stop by the duty-free shop. I pick up a couple bags of coffee for family and myself. Get on the plane, 2.5-hour flight, no problems to Lauderdale. Land in Lauderdale, small delay in getting the luggage off the plane. No biggie. Get luggage, and then because I have global access, the global entry card, you look over this long line of 100+ people waiting to go through 3 tellers for immigration, customs, border patrol, and then you look at the line that doesn't have a line, and I immediately walk right up to the customs immigration officer, and I cleared border patrol in less than 2 minutes. So picture where you're coming in from, purpose of visit, and now I get to say tourism because I am no longer a Florida resident. I'm actually vacationing in Florida. So U.S. citizen, Nicaraguan resident, visiting as a tourist back in Florida. Landed there, got that, did all that, cleared through, and then I contacted my Turo counterpart. Remember, I did this car share program. Contacted them because I landed early, grabbed a coffee while I waited. They pulled up right up to the terminal exit at the airport. We both took pictures of the vehicle status. I jumped in, poof, I'm down the road. I take the old Dixie Highway. I go 27, 29. So I come around the southwest tip of Lake Okeechobee, up by Moorhaven and a bunch of other little small towns. And it's a piece of old Florida. It's less traffic, it's less condensed and less intense people on the road than taking Alligator Alley over to Naples and up. So it's the most direct route. Took that about a 2.5-hour drive, a little more, and got to family's home all in one piece. Zero stress-free day. for the travel. With that, as I was leaving the apartment, I missed the last 2 steps, so I took a tumble with the luggage on top of me and shook it off. But the rest of the day was great. I didn't have to deal with idiots. There was no crazy traffic until I got back to my own county on a desolate, empty road that's highly monitored for speeding, and people, they don't care. So that was travel day. So Friday I laid low, met up with family. There was an event for my nephew doing a music recital per se. He was in a summer camp for musicians, and they did a production. Got to watch that. That was good. And I've met up with family, gone to a couple of my favorite restaurants. So my first breakfast back was Waffle House. I got my biscuits and gravy with the side of bacon. It was everything it was supposed to be. Made it over to my favorite pho restaurant. Had a big bowl of pho and a banh mi sandwich. Again, never disappoints. They're going to be taking off. They're actually going back to Vietnam to visit family soon, so they'll be closed for a few weeks. But that is Pho Saigon in downtown Punta Gorda. And done some other foods. We mostly take out so far. Haven't ate a lot at the house. But meeting up with a couple buddies from back in the day, helping them with some VA appointment information, how to get registered and enrolled and all those good things, start the initial claim, who he's going to talk to actually get it submitted. And so a couple things I wanted to mention. I had a couple items with the VA. So this is on the veteran side. One was there was a bad article from Guardian newspaper. It was a real hit piece on the VA. It was not based on facts. Made some disparaging. I'm not gonna share it, but it was enough to cause a lot of alarm for veterans and non-veterans alike. And people were asking me my opinion. And my opinion was, if this information was viable, it won't be enforceable. The VA is not going to upend their administrative procedures because of the interpretation of an executive order that didn't directly say all these other things. So I had reached out to the public communications officer for the VA. Turns out it was somebody I knew from when I worked with the state at a VA facility. That was on Juneteenth, so they were out of office. Sent the email to another member of his office, which covers a couple states. Didn't get the response. So I utilized the patient advocacy office at the VA, which is also known as the complaint department. I've always upended them by calling them the resolution people, because they find solutions to your problem. So I brought up that information and I said, how do I get a hold of them? And the patient advocate said, the Secretary of Veterans Affairs just announced this during one of the town hall meetings. He addressed this explicitly. And I said, okay, so Secretary of the VA sounds, is about as high up the chain as I could go. Found the video and went forward to it about, and I think it's like at 50 seconds in, he expressly addresses these crazy claims from the Guardian that veterans were going to lose access to health care due to marital status or political affiliation, which was total fabrication, was not true. Got the information, shared it with my vets, and I was explaining to the patient advocates. I have a YouTube channel. I put information out to fellow expats or soon-to-be expats, but I have a large percentage of that being veterans who are interested in expatting, still having access to their VA health care, their VA benefits, how all that works. After working as a service officer for a half dozen years and doing the employment and all that, and 13 years of helping fellow veterans for state of Florida. So I got that information. I was relieved to have a viable source that I could share to dispel any concerns because they were fictitious. The other end of that, while I was talking to the complaint department, I had spoken. I said, listen, currently, due to policy procedures, you can only get 90 days worth of medication. I have a refrigerated med. None of this can be forwarded. It can't be shipped overseas. Can't go to an APOAP. Even if I was using the VA facility in Panama, it would still have to go over a national border. Still can't ship it. Would have to go in person. Costs more to go to Panama than it does to Miami. And I said, literally, this is creating a burden for me to fly back every 3 months and potentially drop $3,000 to $4,000 with a visit. And I was given the guidance of, well, have you talked to your provider? I said, my provider is the one that said this is the policy. And I'm not going to sit there and argue with, well, there's always an exception to the policy, because the doctor needs to focus on medicine, not on admin. So I told that to the community care. Community care said, why don't you go down, talk to the pharmacist on duty right now, explain your situation. If they come back and stonewall you that this is policy, come back, let me know. I'll give you the director of the pharmacy's private or the direct email. Then you can make a formal request, explain your situation, and now it's a formal documentation of your query, and you won't get a he said, she said. I said, okay, perfect. Go down to the pharmacy, explain to them. The tech caught about 90% of what I was saying. Asked the supervisor to listen in. The supervisor said, well, what you need to do is just physically come to us and request the 6 month, and we'll fill it. And I said, well, I don't need it today. I just picked up my 6 months I'll be taking back with me. But I already am scheduled to come back in October with the understanding I'd be picking up 30 days worth like normal, and then I have to come back in February. And she said, no. She goes, well, when do you come back in October? And I told her the date. She goes, okay, your first full day back, come here in the morning, talk to us, explain that you need 6 months supply. We'll have it FedExed. You'll get it at your house here in Florida in 2 days. So day 3. And then you can take 6 months with you at a time. Don't worry about the comments from the doctor. The doctor's following the protocol. We're the ones that are empowered to change the protocol as needed. Yes, we can do this. That just saved me 2 extra trips to Florida a year. That saved me about $6,000 to $8,000. Now I just pack, and I've already pre-tested my medic bag for shipment to pack in 6 months worth of medication at a time. I only go back to Florida twice a year as a requirement to get meds, annual physical, things like that. But then if I have the flexibility that if I want to come back for an undesignated amount of time, and it doesn't have to evolve around getting medication. So a true vacation. So that was some of the best news I could possibly get. That changed the dynamic and the frequency of having to go down to Managua, making flights, getting private drivers to the airport to and fro, and all of this. Even though it went smooth, it's a lot of logistics. So I got here about 6:30 at night local. I had left at what would have been 7 a.m., but I was awake at my local 3:30. It's a 14-hour day for a 2.5-hour flight, because everything's either a 2.5-hour drive, 2.5-2-hour wait at the airport, 2.5-hour flight. So now a lot of that's been relieved. So that means I can focus more of my efforts and time in Nicaragua. As you may have heard me say before, I'm going to be doubling down on my Spanish language classes once I get back. And that is updates for now. So far, so great. And with that, I wish you all audio.